Hi everybody, welcome back to Geezer Rider. This segment is an overview of heated jackets. I think we talked briefly in the overview about why we're only discussing jackets and not vests, so we'll leave vests out of the equation other than to say we're looking for something that heats your entire upper body, your neck, your torso, your back, and your arms, not just your core, not just your back, not just your abdomen and chest area. So, what are you looking for in a heated jacket? Think about the riding that you do. Again, there's always going to be some homework. I'm never going to say this is the only thing you should ever get. If I do say that, it's going to be very rare, and it probably won't be about clothing. It's as unique as the individual, it's as unique as the bike, and it's unique in the climate that you ride in. So, what you're looking for is what you need. How cold does it get where you're riding, and how fast do you ride in that cold, right? You're looking at that wind chill against the ambient air temperature and deciding how much heat you need to add to the equation in order for you to be comfortable. You want to decide whether you're ever going to probably get caught in rain or something. Rain during the summer is can be crummy to ride in. The adventure stories are great after the fact, but nobody usually is enjoying themselves too greatly while it's happening. Can also get downright chilly even on a hot summer day if it rains. You know, sometimes it's on the verge of hail. So in the fall, in the winter, in the early spring, rain's even more of an issue. So do you want water impervious? You know, no water gets through. Do you want water resistant, where it'll resist all but a blatant downpour, or it'll only resist water for 10 minutes, or maybe it's not water resistant at all. If there is any water resistance at all, you want to find out what they do to vent the moisture between you and the inside of the jacket. As vapor builds up, aka sweat, it becomes an issue. You can get too hot in some areas, especially in the armpits. Some jackets have relief areas or little zippered areas or velcroed areas you can open up to let a little bit of fresh air in, at least for a while, to cool you down in specific areas. But the jacket should generally be balanced and breathe on its own. You don't want to walk around in a plastic trash bag. And I'll give you an example of that. I'm not knocking Joe Rider at all, but I have a ballistic nylon mesh jacket from Joe Rocket that I got years ago with some CE armor in it. And it said, hey, we've got liners for this. We got a fleece liner so you can ride it on those cool mornings or nights. You just zip it in or zip it out. And we've got a rain liner. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty bulky jacket. How do they get that liner over the top of the jacket? Doesn't go over the top of the jacket. It goes under the jacket. What does that mean? That means water's coming through all that mesh until it hits the liner and then is going off. And it doesn't breathe at all, no matter what anybody says. This particular model, I think it was the Phoenix, probably version 1.0 or something. Good jacket, but you might as well just get wet from the rain and then be able to dry out as soon as the rain stops, because the mesh would let the air flow through, versus staying inside that thing and just sweating and feeling like you're wet anyway. That's a very specific use case on a specific jacket or garment, but these are the things that you need to think about. So let's say that you get a jacket that is breathable in part or in whole and is water resistant. So you're kind of set for anything. The next question is, how much insulation does it have on its own, so that when you get where you're going, if you're not going to change out of the jacket and you're going to be outdoors, how warm is it going to keep you? Generally, you're going to need less insulation when you're at rest or standing still, not moving through that wind, as you are when you're riding, obviously, and you have air infiltration, you have the wind chill factor, all that air passing over you, taking heat away. But you don't want to get there and then freeze to death if you're going to an outdoor event. Also, is it so bulky that you can't wear it in, to wherever it is you have to go? Like, it doesn't need to be a tuxedo, but does it look like you're going out in the middle of the Serengeti or something, or traversing, a jungle or what have you? Is it can you ride it to work? Depending on where you work. If you work in a white collar environment, blue collar environment, your answer might be different. But that's a consideration, and that's something to think about over time, because we keep talking about these things are an investment for 5, 10, 15 years. So you want it to be fit for a variety of conditions, a variety of different motorcycles. Your body type might change. You might lose weight, you might gain weight, you might gain muscle mass, you might lose muscle mass. um, you might sit differently on a bike. If you're riding a sport bike, you're a little crouched. You need a little more tail on the back of the jacket to cover up the base of your spine. If you're cruising, you're a little more upright, so the tail area of the jacket's going to come down your back a little further, but it's liable to rise up your belly a little bit higher, depending on how you're seated. So all these things are something to keep in mind. This is why, whenever you have the opportunity to somehow try the thing on first, I encourage you to do so. And this is true for any piece of riding gear, no matter what: helmet, heated or non-heated gear, even eyewear. It's just bothersome every time you wear something to have in the back of your mind, man, I really got stuck with this one, or they raked me over the coals, or I made the wrong decision, or they really didn't represent this properly. You don't need that noise going on in your head while you're trying to have a good ride. So if you're going to pay the dealership tax, aka slightly higher prices, and everybody likes to knock the dealer, but they got employees to pay, they got a brick and mortar store to run, and they're there when you need them should something go wrong with the thing. They can, provided you figured out what the return policy is first and everything. There's that. The next step down, or not down, or the next equivalent to that, I guess, is a vendor at a motorcycle event. You want to check them out. Quick look on your phone, find out if they've been around for a while, if they're going to attend different rallies. These guys really can't screw people over on an ongoing basis and keep showing up at rallies. That just doesn't work. So chances are, if they are showing up regularly to motorcycle events — I keep using the word rally, but I just mean, any motorcycle event. Could be a show for new bikes, like a car show, but with bikes. They're reputable, and you want someone that you can deal with and not have to wait a year till they come back to your town again. How do they help you if there's an issue? If you're not going to try before you buy, all I can say is do your research, look at the manufacturer's sizing charts. You would be amazed how differently the sizes run from manufacturer to manufacturer, and even within the same manufacturer, the different models fit differently, because they may have them manufactured in a different country, or it may be a different model line. They might be a little tighter for the sport bike guys, they might be a little more lax fitting for the cruiser guys. You're going to want to do that research and do it for your specific garment. Extra large in one brand may fit like a large on another. Extra large in one brand or model line might fit like a double X large in another. And there's two schools of thought with the heated gear. One is to allow you enough room to put extra layers under there. And the other, in the more current version, is, hey, we don't want to draw a lot of power, so what we're going to do is make this thing just a little bit tight and have you just wear a single layer, either like an Under Armour layer or a t-shirt layer or something like that, and get that heating element as close to your skin as possible, so that you're not coming through stacks of insulation trying to heat it up. Because the more insulation you have between you and your skin and the heating element, the more power you have to apply to feel that heat. And if the jacket's already insulated, you have to overcome that as well. So look and see what their thought process it is, what their manufacturing methodology is when you're making your choice. The next thing to consider with the heated jacket beyond the fit is the heating zones. We've talked about power consumption. I don't think we need to go into that any further on this. You know what your homework is there regarding figuring out your charging system and the total load of all your garments against your battery and charging system. So the next thing is the zones. So what are we talking about in the zones? So what are you trying to do? You're trying to keep your core temperature from dropping first, so you don't get hypothermic and loopy and everything like that. And as you approach that, before you ever get into a serious situation with hypothermia or start having cognitive issues because of the cold, you're already distracted because you're getting cold and you're thinking about the cold and darn it, I'm cold. And all that thought about being cold takes away from your thought about the riding experience when you really need to be on your game in the off season. And we've talked about the variables of riding in the off season before. So you drop your core temperature. Let's say you didn't have a heated garment. Your body says, hey, my heart, my lungs, my pancreas, my liver, my kidneys, whatever, getting cold. I'm going to stop sending so much heat to the extremities, your arm and your hands, your toes. That's why they get cold first, because that's what's happening. There's really not a way to circumvent that. If you have circulatory issues, it's going to be exacerbated. If you have a compromised seating position, and that, what I mean by that is your legs and arms are positioned such that it affects your circulation, you may feel cold quicker. So this kind of doubles back to the vest thing without dwelling on it. But I would not only want to keep my midsection warm, but I want to keep my arms and everything warm. And it doesn't take that much to achieve that, because your body is still always burning calories, always trying to make that 98.6 body temperature. It just needs a little help because it's cold outside and you've got all this wind chill. So think about all the areas that get hit by cold air, and they're normally covered in most jackets. You've got a couple of cells coming up the front of the body, up to the chest and everything, probably down the arms, hopefully not through the armpit. They don't take a shortcut and just make one long heating element through there. There should be a gap here. You don't need a lot of heat under the armpit. You'll be very uncomfortable in a short period of time. If you buy a garment that has a heating element in the armpit, you're going to know what I'm talking about quite quickly. And the heat should extend down towards the cuffs. And the heat should also be around the collar area, because unless you have, a heated helmet like the guys on the snowmobiles or snow machines use, this area of your neck is going to get cold, even if you're wearing some kind of, there's a product called Turtle Fuzz that I own. It's like a fleece band that goes around. It's circular. It's like a headband. You just pull it down over your neck and you can fold it down or whatever you want. But you need a little heat coming up into there. The odd thing that I have found in researching heated jackets is that there are a number of them that don't have heating elements in the back. And I guess their thought process is, well, all the cold air is hitting you in your chest. So as long as we warm up your chest, that'll generally warm up, the rest of you. I have found that not to be true. I found that your back still gets a little bit cold. So you're looking for something with a heating element in the back as well. Or you tried it on, and for some strange reason, the way the thing's engineered, it just works and your back doesn't get cold. And you want those elements to go down towards the small of your back too, because that gap area between the top of your pants and the bottom of the jacket is an air infiltration area. And heat rises, it doesn't fall, so it's not going to fall down the back of your jacket and warm your tailbone. There's either an element there or not. So those are all things to look at in the heated jacket. The other thing that I've come to realize is that there are now a number of offerings where the jacket is made of, some kind of ballistic material, nylon or something. So it's abrasion resistant. So if you and the bike do have a disagreement and you go different ways and you're getting some quality face time with the asphalt, you want something that isn't just like fleece, you want something that will protect you. And you might also find, in addition to that, some light armor in the jacket. And they're introducing light armor in the jacket. I believe they call it CE armor. I'm not sure off the top of my head what that stands for at the moment. But it's not too, you're not walking around like RoboCop anymore, like when this stuff first came out and the padding was so pronounced. There's a little bit of, closed self foam, almost styrofoam in the shoulders, maybe some in the elbows, the typical areas where you're going to make contact should something happen. And the areas that are more likely to make contact usually also have a higher abrasive resistant material if they haven't just used it throughout the entire garment. So, that sounds pretty pessimistic, but hey, plan for the worst, hope for the best, and have a great day. And if something should happen, it's the difference between, maybe a broken bone or broken bone and being in the burn unit and getting infections in a scraped up area or something like that. It's up to you, your appetite for risk, it's up to you. But I would strongly consider you at least research it before making that decision, deciding if that's something you want integrated into your jacket. Um, my videos run a little bit long, and I know that puts some people off, but I'm just, again, going out there and looking for myself. Somebody has reviewed the product segment, in this case we're talking about jackets, and then maybe a specific model, and the entire video is 3 minutes. I really don't think that's giving everything its due. They're either assuming that there's a lot you already know, they don't know to relate it, or there's nothing more to tell about what they're talking about. But I like a more holistic approach. I like a lot of detail. You can choose to discard any of this you want and just take the information that's relevant to you. But if you don't have the information to begin with and you didn't think of that particular consideration on your own, then you might have a regret later. And that's what we're trying to help you with, is just make the most educated decision possible. So if you like the material, please leave a comment. If you have questions, leave a comment. If you want to see more, you can hit subscribe, like the video, please, and ride safe. Namaste.